Hi everyone, it's Coach Fred here, and so someone asked about worksheet number 1 from the exponential unit, problem number 4. If you're just watching this video for more information, it's really writing an exponential function of the form y equals ab to the x given 2 points. There are so many ways to think about this, okay? One way to think about it is that if it's an exponential function, which we know because we're saying we're asking to write one. If we thought about the table here, we've got the 2, negative 32, and we've got 5, negative 20, 48. I want you to think about how many times you'd be multiplying a ratio to the y if the x's were 1, like if there was a 3 and a 4 here. Because that was one way we practiced this. And we learned that you'd be multiplying by a ratio 3 times, right? There'd be a ratio getting multiplied to get to the 3rd term. Ratio multiplied again to get to the 4th term. Ratio multiplied again to get to the 5th term. So I use that as an idea to write an equation to find my b term. B is like that ratio, okay? B is like the growth rate. So if you think about it, if we start with our negative 32, we would be multiplying by a ratio 3 times. And if you really connect the dots here, the 3 times would be 5 minus 2. So you'd take negative 32, you'd be multiplying by a ratio 3 times, and you should then get to negative 248, or 2048. Okay, and so we divide by negative 32. We get an r cubed equals 64. We take the cubed root of both sides, and that tells me that my r was 4. So my ratio, my multiplier, was 4 every time, and we know that to be the b in the function. So now I have a function y equals a times 4 to the x. Okay, so how do I find my a? Well, we use what we know about functions. Functions have inputs and outputs. Inputs and outputs. I'm going to pick the smaller of the 2 points, and I'm going to plug it in. So negative 32 equals a times 4 to the 2 power. So negative 32 equals 16a. And so a equals negative 2. I think that sounds right. So a equals negative 2. So my equation would be y equals negative 2 times 4 to the x. All right, so that's one way to think about this, function. Another way is to actually use the points themselves and what we know about systems of equations. If we know that we're looking for something of the form y equals ab to the x, well, each of these points would give me some relationship, right? So I could plug the first point in and I would get ab to the 2 power. And I could take the second point and do negative 2048 equals ab to the 4th power, right? So if we think about that, what I could do is I could kind of work these together, right? And I could divide one equation into the other. So I could say, I could divide this by negative 32 and divide this by AB, is it to the, it was to the 5th power. So then AB squared, okay? Sorry about that. The A's would cancel. This would give me 64, and that would give me B cubed, right? Which is the r cubed that we got in the other example. So then B would be 4, because 4 cubed is 64. And so I would plug a point in. So I would do negative 32 equals A times 4 to the 2 power. So negative 32 equals A times 16. And so A would be negative 2. So it's going to give me that exact same answer. Does that make sense? This was very similar to a question on your review packet for your quiz tomorrow, except I gave you some fractions and it was a little bit harder. But we've got both methods that we could think about here. So we could say 9 r squared, because between 2 and 4, there would be two ratios that I'd be multiplying. So 4 minus 2, so 9r squared has to equal 81 over 4. Now, I'd multiply both sides by 1/9, or divide by 9, which means the same thing as multiplying by a 9th. And so r squared would be equal to, simplify, 9/4. So r would be equal to 3/2. Okay? All right, so then I would plug into my equation. 9 equals a times r is the same thing as b, 3/2 to the 2 power. So that would give me 9 equals 9 over 4a. All right, and multiply both sides by 4/9. 4/9. And so I would get a is 4. If a is 4, then my equation is y equals 4 times 3/2 to the x. Okay, the alternate way to do that again is that I could just plug them right into the function and set up a system. So that would give me 9 equals ab squared, and 81 over 4 equals ab to the 4th. You could divide both sides, this equation, by 9, and then ab squared. So that would be the same thing as multiplying by a 9th, right? So 81/4 times 1/9, which is going to give me 9/4. The a's would cancel, and you get equals b squared. And so b would be equal to 3/2. And then you'd go back to this. So there's multiple ways that you could approach these problems. Hopefully that's helpful. And if you need more, we can talk about more. So let me know. All right, have a great night.